Hello, everybody. How are we doing on this slightly less toasty day? Getting at the end of August. It should be end of August. Oh God, wishful thinking. End of July. Should be cooling off soon, right? Right? It's, that's the hope. It won't be quite so hot because hot sucks. How is everybody doing today? Um, Something funny. My son and I have a running joke in our house about feeling kind of run down and feeling kind of I don't know, not able to focus so well. And the running joke has been, can I get you anything? And my son would always say, um, yeah, a working brain cell. So I got him a brain cell, and he's letting me borrow the brain cell for the podcast because I'm feeling a little strung out. So he lent me his brain cell for the podcast. So there's the working brain cell for the day. Um, Thanks for the follows. Thank you for the compliments. I appreciate it. Me and the brain cell are are open to make this one a good one today. So I guess we are ready to get this thing started. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Meg. I'm also known as Dead Woman Walking. I've been gaming for a while of various types. Lately, it's been survival games, and of course, Dune has been my drug of choice for the last year and a half now. Um, Super excited to be playing the game. So, I actually have notes for today because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. Today, we're going to be talking a bit about the public test client that is up and running for the next couple of weeks. We're going to be looking at some builds. Hopefully, we'll be getting the results from the build contest soon because it looked really good. There's a lot of great submissions. It was very intimidating. And then I have, we're going to talk about two of the labs, testing station number 2 and testing station number 10, just to kind of get started looking at a little bit of the story and lore. We're not going to dig too deep into the lore, but we're going to be, it's a good start. We're going to start on it, okay? But I'm going to wait a moment because it's an incoming ad break. there's an incoming ad break, so we're going to stall here because I don't want anybody to miss anything from this PowerPoint because I spent a lot of time on this PowerPoint. This PowerPoint's like 50 slides long, and so everybody else gets to be subjected to my PowerPoint. Actually, funny that you ask about things that you learn being relevant to an exam, not to give spoilers, but yes. Yes, it is. So here comes the ad break. Sorry about that. I don't have a whole lot of control over it. Presto knows. Presto. But yes, kind of sort of, yeah. If you want it to be, there's lots of the game is really nice in that it is a sandbox. It is a sandbox, so you can do what you want. You don't have to follow the line. Hello. Um, but for a game that's not an RPG, it has a lot of RPG elements in it. And um, if you like RPGs, it's got an amazing story. Do listen to all the radios and do listen to all of the dialogues and talk to all of your contacts and see what they can say. That even the vendors have things to tell you. Excuse me. And it's got a lot of great stuff going on, kind of. And then as you get into it, the story just gets better and better. The story is truly amazing. I'm hoping we will be getting Act 3 sooner than later. They did say there was a patch coming in August, but I don't know if that's a patch or a content update. And then we know we have the DLC coming in October. So that will be a story DLC. I think that's the Arctic one, I think. Also, if you've been playing in the PTC, the public test client, you know that there's some great cosmetics already coming in a few weeks. So there's all, if you're into placeables, I'm a sucker for a good placeable. Yeah. And as Presto is saying, nothing is coincidental. Nothing is coincidental. This Jeff and Joel and the story writers and the world creators have created something that is very deep and intertwined. The worm changes. I was crossing the gap, right? Because I got a little build PTSD from the beta. So not knowing how long this test client's going to be up, I haven't moved out of the gap yet. And so I keep going back to my base in Hog Basin South, and I was crossing, and that worm popped up right next to me. I was scared. Yeah, the DLC is not pay to win. The DLC is for the story stuff. Any gear or equipment or anything will be equivalent tier. So if it's a steel tier side mission story thing, the gear that you get will not be. It won't be pay to win. It might be a unique something, but it'll be probably like the beta sword or any of the other cosmetic stuff that you've got that are kind of fun. Okay. that's fine. Do what you need to do. I think we're all back from the break, so now is the time to break out the PowerPoint. All right. Let me see here what I can do with the PowerPoint. Hold on. Because I got stuff. Ta-da! Yeah, that was something. I got the buttons to work this time, except I'm on the wrong slide. There we are. Okay. We are episode 13. Crazy how stuff goes, right? Buttons. Yes, buttons. The bane of my existence. So the latest news. I have to admit, I'm super excited because now that the beta is over, I can finally start sharing screenshots that I take. We took so many in the beta that will never see the light of day. But this game is so beautiful, and I cannot get over just how freaking amazing this game looks. Speaking of things that look amazing, don't forget, if you have not already gotten your drops, you got time, got another week to finish getting them. The observer window does give a little glow, so if you don't already have it, it goes quite nice with the observer ceilings from before, so it's quite handy. From last week, Ben is now immortalized in Dune history because his power was out. I think it's great that people had some fun with it. Too many people are doom and gloom. I think it's freaking hilarious that Ben did get the message. Ben did come back and turn his power on. His base was made safe, but the manhunt for Ben was fun. That was a lot of fun, and I hope that the community continues to come together. So someone's asking about explaining it. Last week, someone had put in Reddit that they had a neighbor, Ben, and his power was out. And they put this up in Reddit, Ben, your power's out. So when they put out the patch notes last week, inside the patch notes was included, Ben, your power's out. So then it became kind of a running thing on Reddit. A whole bunch of people started threads saying, Ben, your power's out. And apparently the magazine picked it up, Ben, your power's out. And Ben did get the message. Ben did get his base back up and running. So apparently he had a really nice base. So hey, not everybody has horrible neighbors, which is quite nice. Upcoming news: Gamescom is coming. It will be in Germany, in Cologne, I believe. If you're planning on going, I believe Iggy and Storm said that they are planning on being there. I still don't know what capacity they're going to be in. I don't believe they'll have a big thing like they did last year, but I know they said they would be there. So I'm sure Iggy could use some nice head pats right now because. Well, he's on vacation right now, but people have been really unkind, so he deserves this vacation. It's all good. This came out today, so if you are using the Pentashield fishbowl build, that will be changed upcoming in 2 weeks. You want to find an alternate way to protect your buildings. It was never meant to be a thing. It was a glitch. And so they are fixing it because it's caused problems in the deep desert PvP raiding the buildings. So that will be fixed in 2 weeks. So yeah, you have to figure something else out. The hot fix from last week, some security improvements, some more improvements to layouts. It was pretty thin patch notes, but the big patch notes, the big excitement going on right now is the public test client. I barely grabbed any of the patch notes. The patch notes were quite long. If you are going to use the public test client, make sure that you give feedback. In the official Discord, there are 2 threads for feedback. Make sure that you access those and use those. If you have logged into the public test client, you should be getting some vehicles. You'll see them under the there's a button whenever you go up and hit for the bug reports. There's a button there that's the top one. I forget which one it was, but you should be able to get some free vehicles for testing. If you do not receive those vehicles, you need to make sure you do a bug report. But do make bug reports. Do put the feedback in the official Discord because there's lots of things in here being tested. The deposit all water, I played the public test client yesterday and today. Deposit all blood, deposit all water is so nice. I can't even get along. I can't even describe how nice it feels just to hit that button once. And the sound effect is amazing. It just makes this kind of splooshy, thick, gooey noise. It's great. Colliding with a sandworm's body will result in death or vehicle destruction. This one I'm a little nervous about because early on in the beta, for a long time, if you're crossing the gap the first time in that area between Haggle Basin South and the gap, that flat spot, and the worm just kind of goes back and forth. And sometimes because it's a flat spot and then you've got the 2 sides, they'll come out at you perpendicular. And there were many times that I got T-boned by the worm and they just knock you up in the air. It's always terrifying. I'm not keen on dying to T-boning, but I get why they're doing it. I like the Sleeto replicator kind of copying everything now. A lot of people have asked for that one, so that one's quite nice. And the pillars between walls for some decorative bits will be quite nice. I'm excited to see how those play out build-wise because people have lots of great creative ideas. Another thing that I grabbed was the thing about the building and crafting. They kind of removed some things for the dew fields. And I think the biggest one that's going to be very painful is going to be they've moved the flower sand fields. And that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. They're not far out, but it's you're going to have to work a little harder for it. So you got a little time to go and grab as much flower sand as you can in the next 12 days. Yeah. Increased compactor threat generation. So definitely want to go grab your stuff now while you can. This came from my community. This was from Paolo. They've got some new decorative bits. And I'm a sucker for placeables. So these look really good. Just props. just stuff to make your shop look lived in. There's the schematic on the wall, the radio thing on the wall. Yes, flower sand is being moved. All of the ones that are close to the edge where we've been kind of sneaking by with no worm, those are gone. Those are gone. This is some more of the mechanic stuff. There's the skins on the bikes and just more placeables. So always exciting to have more placeables in the game. I'm a sucker for clutter, but they need to give us more furniture slots if they're going to do that to us. On the note about flower sand, people are hitting the sand hard now, so be prepared to replace your compactors. I would not use your tier 6, tier 5 ones right now because they're just too hard to replace. But yeah, now is the time to go out and get your flower sand stock up, because you got 12 days, 13 days before the patch hits. I'm not keen on going out on the sand. And the cruel thing is so many of those in the gap are on drum sand, which is just extra mean. It's just extra mean. Why do they do us that way? Why? But back to some of the good news. Someone put this up on Reddit. Just having good neighbors. Not everybody is out to gank everybody. Not everybody's being horrible to each other. And people just sharing stuff. One of the first, back when it's probably been this time last year about that, when one of the first groups I played with, a neighbor accidentally grenaded himself, because C is supposed to be for crouch, not throw grenades. Accidentally grenaded himself. I rezzed him up, got him some water, and sent him on his merry way. And then I ran into the next week where he'd been playing with a friend. They had a tank. They had 2 buggies. They just had all this great stuff. And it was right before we were doing a soft wipe, and they let me have a whole bunch of stuff. So just for giving him water. And so that was quite nice. Not everybody's neighbor's awful. We tend to leave water out and build shady spots for people if we can. So it's there's lots of good things coming. On that note, we got the community roundup. So this is stuff I've grabbed from Reddit, from the Discord, from a little bit on Facebook sometimes, Twitter, to wherever I have been able to find some fun stuff. Someone shared this with me today. I thought it was adorable. I don't know what it is about that cat, just makes me laugh. So yeah, they would give me cat. It's Elisa Nalgaib. It's just, I don't know why it makes me smile. It's just too cute. It's the little beans, I guess. I don't know. We were talking about memes for Ben. Thankfully, Ben's power is fixed. It's all good now, right? Ben's good. This one's always kind of bugged me. It's a thopter or an ornithopter. It's not an ornicopter. So yeah, it's a thopter, not an orny. That just sounds wrong. It just sounds. People type it, but if you actually say it, I'm gonna go get my orny. It just sounds wrong. Ben. So the question, real quick, is if you leave your water outside, is it connected to your storage? Yes. Currently, it is connected to just have one water circuit. And so the reason our main base currently doesn't have water outside is because we don't have enough to share just yet. Once you hit a certain point, though, it'd be really hard to empty you out. Water circuits are coming back. We had them briefly in the beta, and they had problems with them, so they pulled them out. But the water circuits will be coming back because people want to share their water, which I'm grateful for. That's very kind. Excuse me. Um, this was last week. A lot of players were like, "What?" So I love all the memes. Again, I think it's great that the community came together and just had a good old time. This is one of the things that people are really, really complaining about is how heavy cobalt is. I think especially when you compare it to how heavy aluminium ore is. It's like there's some weight issues, and I think it takes a bit for people to get used to the volume slot combination thing that storage is. My backpack I can kind of run with, but the way the box is sort sometimes is very frustrating. So I want to believe in my dark little heart that these are things that they will continue to take feedback on and make adjustments. So that's from yeah. Erythrocyte is this is the stuff that makes cobalt. So yes, this one I don't know if it's still true anymore, but in the beta that would destroy your vehicle. As a habit, I keep my vehicles enclosed. I would not leave my vehicle hanging out the back end. I would not. Um, yeah, I would not feel feel right with my ass end hanging out in the wind that way. I just wouldn't do it. This is from Actio47 via Reddit. I thought it was great. Um, yeah, an upside down building on the tip of a rock. So I thought that was very creative. Although his condition of his thopter is making me a little nervous because he's out in the deep desert. That's just asking for it. Um, this one's from someone from their deep desert. This is also from Akito 47. This was in their deep desert where they made a shop to sell parts for vehicles. So as people lose, ironically, his wings and things, he could replace them. There was a time in the beta for a long time. If you got it too low, this your wings would just smoke, and you'd have to physically remove them and replace them because they just smoke. You just couldn't see anything for all the smoking. It was so I have a little PTSD from that. I thought this was a really interesting use of the Harkonnen pieces. This is from Anomaly 5 on Reddit. That's a lot of patience. I think I would have lost my mind about 3 floors in, but I applaud their striped stuff there. And that is a really popular building spot. I find it interesting that a lot of us end up building up in that direction. This one's from Arcane Moose via Reddit. I thought it is pretty cool. It's very creative use of space. I have to wonder though, for like the beehive looking spot on the sides there, if is it is that where you put like wind traps? Because that would be pretty cool. Um, I love now that you can buy both sides. That you can buy the Harkonnen pieces if you're playing a treaty, so you have options to play with things. So I thought that was pretty cool. Another one from Arcane Moose. There's some irony. They're doing a big old eagle in the Harkonnen pieces, but that's definitely a very interesting build. That I have to say that is quite impressive. So this build contest has gotten all the creative people out and about because that's just wow. This one is from Atrium. This was on the official Discord. This was called Cathedral of the Stars. A lot of people struggle with wedge pieces. And yeah, wedge pieces can be really complicated. The trick to wedges is whatever is on the ground, the roof piece needs to match. So if you're using wedges, you just have to be very mindful and you got to plan out pieces. You got to plan out builds that use wedges. Yeah, I'm not winning anything in this competition. If they throw me the skin, I will be shocked. I will absolutely be shocked because there's some amazing pieces here that I just cannot even. This was a candid shot from Captain Smart Brick on Reddit. I thought it was a really good shot of the handprint on the moon, and Presto's favorite snack is Maudib. Yep, Maudib. This one is from Crikey TM on Reddit, and this was their second attempt at this build. They said that they actually started out with it reversed, and then they realized it looked kind of bad. So they came back and they did it this way. So I thought it was a really nice, just it looks nice. It's got a sleek look to it. It looks very industrial. I like it. We got another candid shot. This is from Didi Deminsky, on the official Discord. And that was a very nice bit of composition. That's a really nice shot. Waiting for the storm to pass. I think they were caught out in the deep desert, so they may not be too close to where you can go inside. But I thought the composition of the picture was really, really nice. This one is from Aravel. This is also from the official Discord. This was their dining hall. Well, I keep saying we need more build pieces. I mean, we do, but I mean, I want to know where they got the wall pieces. And if you look straight back, where'd they get the fish from? Did I miss something? Did I miss a piece? I need those. It's a well. I mean, and they have Atreides and Harkonnen pieces, so they've got a nice mix. I like it. It looks really good. There's a variety of rugs. So as you go, you've got to go like the chom ones you get from the different vendors, the shop people at the trade posts sell the chom stuff, and then the Atreides stuff you get from the quartermaster, and then the Harko stuff you got to go to Harko Village. It comes in that shape. The one she's standing on comes in that shape. Yep. This one is another from DJ Muck on Reddit. I thought that was a really impressive piece. That is a big build for it. As you can see there to the left, there's the palace. So I guess he's kind of put it there for access to the shield, which makes sense. And I'm not sure how far down it goes, so I'm not sure if he's buggying in or out. But it's an impressive looking build. Another very brutalist looking build. This one is from Duplica. They posted this on the official Discord. I thought that build was pretty damn amazing. I mean, on one hand, you're like, that's wasted space, but it looks good. It looks real good. And I'm just looking at these going, I just get so many great ideas from some of these creative things that people have done that just look really amazing. And you reach a certain point with building that, you don't have to worry so much about pieces, and you can just kind of play with it. So I think that's great. Yeah. A more economical build would be the box. because you're losing the whole front. You're losing 50% of your potential space because the whole front slope is gone. But I think it looks great. And I think you also, if you're a small group, space isn't as important for storage as it was, if you're running a bigger group. This is from Gaina on Reddit. I love what they've done with the top and the pillars. It looks very Greco-Roman. And they have their vehicles stored completely inside. This is why I will not win any prizes for anything I build. I used to think I was an okay builder. I used to think that, and now I have been properly educated. I am not an okay builder. I am a noob builder. That's where I'm at with these. Their power usage is going to be really high, but damn, it looks really good. It looks real good. I have an idea for a build. I just need to sit down and do it. It's been kind of a crazy week, so I need to get that done. This is from GameHo88 via Reddit. And this is out in the deep desert. And that is a good question. This one might go down because you've got some of these front-facing ones. If they could put a pillar on those corners, they'd be fine. And it looks like we might be able to put pillars on. We'll just have to wait and see. Yeah. That's the rest of the base. It's a big hand sticking up. So you can kind of see the shadow to the right. It's a big hand. So I thought that was a well structured shot. Very busy island that they're on. This one is from Grumbles, who is a content creator. They built this in their deep desert. Inside that box to the right under the arrow is a node. they built on top of the node. The door is open, but they built on top of the node to make sure nobody else can build on it. So they've just a node next to it. And I love that they have said, and I've seen lots of people do this type of thing where they go out. My guild, our North American client, has done this where we've built over next to nodes to block them open, so that way people can. We don't have to risk somebody blocking it off and making it inaccessible to the masses. I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was really cute, and so they submitted this to me to share today. This is Cozy Boss on Reddit and their deep desert base. Those are all respawn beacons on their bed. I don't know how many times they die, but I'm gonna guess it's a lot. So they said those were respawn beacons, because they wanted to respawn on their bed. Yeah, it's a lot of beacons. It's like, what? Hey, I don't kink shame. Whatever floats the boat. I don't know. We got another build. This is from Lao Sorcerer on Reddit. I thought this one was quite nice. You've got a nice courtyard and a nice interconnected build. That could be nice if you have people who kind of want their own space, but also still interconnected with the water sharing and that kind of thing. It's not going to be super big if you have the bigger vehicles, but I think the area is is looking good. Yeah, I like the and they did a good job with the roof. It's very a hard thing in building is doing an interesting roof line. And I think they've done a really good job of keeping it varied and yet symmetrical without being boring. So that's quite an achievement. I like it. This is from Paige the Witch on Twitter. I thought it was super cute. Like, why not cats? Why not? Just because they're cute. You know, probably not super functional. They're kind of tiny on the inside, but they're cute, right? They're cute. I like cute. It could be cute. This is some original artwork by Pocket Raccoon from the official Discord. They were like, you can't stop me from doing it. And many of us have had that same response. Oh no! I will go back to the cats. There. Kitties! I didn't know there was an ad. Sorry. The PowerPoint takes up my whole second screen, so I can't see it. I gotta say something. I will stop talking. But yeah, original art by Pocket Raccoon. I thought it was cute. That still hearts. Because why not, right? Hello. That's okay. This is from Possible Material 803 on Reddit. This was them driving around in the in the deep desert. I think they were getting some spice. I think they were being more productive. The few times I've got to go out with one, it's been a bit because they're so expensive. But it was, you just kind of running a quick thing and then you book it out. We never had time to kind of feel like we were able to get cutesy and creative. I always boggle people doing drawings and things. I'm like, are you not getting shot at? Is that just me? I don't know. The worm not coming? I don't get it. This is from RavenX on Reddit. I thought that looks pretty badass. That's I if you're gonna play and just play around with building, I think that's pretty amazing. And that's in a deep desert too. So I mean that the idea that the building is only gonna last a week. You put all that work into a building that's temporary. I mean that is a crazy base for the deep desert. This one is from Randall Scandal, also from Reddit. I'm seeing a theme this week. People are liking spirals this week. People are liking spirals. But hey, again, I think it's some creative use. They've also got, because they've got Harkonnen pieces, they've got Atreides pieces. So there's a lot going on there. So, excuse me. This is from Everell in the official Discord. It's kind of dark, but shy hellos send nudes. Because we're a bunch of 12-year-olds. Let's just be honest. We're a bunch of giant 12-year-olds. And only haloods, it's better than fly halood, I guess. But yeah. Is it bad looking at that? I don't know exactly where that is. Just looking. I don't know. I played too much. This is from Sir Shaw in Reddit. If you get a chance to go to Reddit, look, he's got a lot more pictures with this one to go with. He's got some more external pictures and a whole lot of internal pictures, but the inside is very dark. It's got a lot of Harkonnen pieces. So it didn't, I didn't think it looked really good on my screen. But yeah, if you go peek on Reddit in the Dune Awakening sub, yeah. The This contest is making a lot of us feel very small. This contest is hurting my brain. I need my one brain cell back. That's, this is from Ski Bulks on Reddit. I think it's a very bold choice. I would not leave my vehicles out on a vehicle pad. It looks great, but it's also a long run back. But again, if this is a guild or group that's doing very, very well. They've got the big water going. They've got the big power going. So, but yeah, quick in and out. But some of those pads are not quick to get to and from. It looks great, but I probably would never actually park on one of those pads. But it does look really, really good. I gotta say, it does. This is from Spargo808 on the official Discord. They made a racetrack, which I thought was pretty cool. It's even got a little ramp for a jump and everything. And if you get going on a good bike, you can catch some air, or you could fall. I mean, but hey, there's no vehicle fall damage, which is great. Dune Hot Wheels. So I find it fun that again that people are doing all these great fun things in the game when so many people are going, oh my god, it's dead, and people are leaving. Oh, people are still playing. We're still having fun with it. We just have our own idea of what fun is, and we're more patient, I guess, or have different levels, I guess. I don't know. This is Striker's build. He was showing off his sort of symmetry, and I love the drop ceilings because he's got those are the looks like the foundations or those are Harco pieces hanging from the observer pieces, and so that looks really good. It looks really good. Harkonnen pieces tend to be so dark on the inside, and if you look on the right hand side of the picture, he's got looks like a hive. He's got all those water canisters in there too, so it's quite nice on the inside. I gotta admit, he's a good builder. He's a really good builder. This is from Tabs on the official Discord. I believe that is their original character art that they've done. I like it. Again, I'm loving how everybody's being creative and fun and just enjoying the game to the way they want. The King said the fun of a sandbox game is that you have this freedom. Absolutely. You absolutely can do how you want. You can follow the story. I saw some people in the last few weeks have been, there's nothing to do but build. Well, some of us like that. Some of us have been doing that like Conan since day one. Just build. And nothing wrong with it. We're having all the fun. This is from this is a video, so I'm gonna make sure my sound is down. This is from Wexation. Picked it up on Reddit. A reminder to always, keep your head on a swivel. See, they're looking around. It's the Free Willy worm. I believe I can fly. And they went your two expensive vehicles because they didn't get out of the way. Oops. Yeah. Sky Hello strikes again. Yep. You gotta watch that meter and you gotta get altitude. You cannot be slow, and it's a risk when you take out your more expensive vehicles because Fly Halud and Didi will get you. So that is my PowerPoint. Aha! Let me go back. PowerPoint. 1 second. People are pinging me. Okay, all's good. Okay. Minimize that and look back at that. All right. Um, yeah. Yeah, I've seen Sky Halud do some really interesting things. I think one of the things that Jeff had said about the worm was the worm makes the game really extra complicated because you have these really large solid things that are moving around um, in their own way because they're not paths so much. I mean, they have like a route they like to take, but they aren't stuck on it. They can totally turn and double back and react to what's going on, which is makes things more complicated because the worm can move around and it has to go under like rocks and things. So getting the animations just right for the worm and getting it to where it's sort of smart and reactive took them a bit. And so it's still I think it's still a work in progress. So rumor has it, this is a complete rumor, so I could be misremembering something, that they were looking at making the deep desert worms more reactive as well. So we'll just have to see, won't we? Um, I have your yes. I have not seen childhood in a lab in a while. As a matter of fact, it's been it was always terrifying to be in a lab. And there goes the worm. It's like oh, that's not good. It's not good at all. Um, so I am going to make sure my sound is all the way down. I did a radio drop. It's been a couple of weeks ago, but I did a little blurb for it that yeah. So here comes some.
In the far reaches of the galaxy, whispers of rebellion rise, but the Emperor does not whisper back. He sends them. The Sardaukar, loyal beyond fear, lethal beyond mercy, trained in darkness, forged in blood. They are the Imperium's final answer. Sardaukar. Obedience is peace. Defiance is extinction.
I I worded it that way very specifically. I wrote that, and I worded that very specifically. If you've done the first trial, which most of us have, done the first trial, know all about defiance and who is it that thinks. Um, on that note, I don't have the lore ready that I'd hoped to have. However, I have some other lore because I got to do it. So this is going to be a lab lore. So I'm going to be talking about testing station number 2, which everybody's gone through because if you've played the game, you've gone into testing station 2 at least once. And testing station number 10 because everyone low level absolutely loves testing station number 10 because everyone is in love with Aina Heller and wants to do, sit around the campfire and sing Kumbaya with her because she's awesome, right? So before I do that though, we're we're going down, right? We're getting ready for thinking about lore and thinking about the greater universe and what we know about the story and all of these books that most of us have read or we've listened to or we've watched the movies or we've just talked about lore, and so we are familiar with the story and the basics. So what I've done for the labs is I ran the labs, and so you've got the whole video of me running the lab, but I have sped it up in between the radio shots. So because I felt otherwise it would feel really weird to have those cuts, and not everybody knows where all of the radios are. So I left those. So this is an experiment. This could go very, very wrong, or it could be lots of fun. I don't know. Let's give it a go here. Whee!
Collins has been acting real strange since finding that corpse with the Telexu satchel. I don't trust him. Keep an eye out next time you're out on a salvage run. If he starts acting weird, dart him.
What that tells me is they really have no loyalty to each other. He's acting weird, shoot him.
Welcome to Desert Botanical Testing Station number 2. I am the station supervisor.
Now, for those of you who haven't played a lot, so testing station number 2 is right there in the starting area, and you have to go in there. There's 3 contracts that send you into the testing station. There's Xanterra's contract that sends you in there because you need the vehicle parts. There's Derek's contract that sends you in there because he's wanting to know more about the testing stations because his interest with the testing stations and kinds. I knew I'd get the words. And there's another contract where you go in there to get the vials. And one of the things that Xanterra tells you about, he mentions it about the Rex, but it's also true about the labs, is the labs are old and they've been there for a long time, and there's stuff in those things that you cannot get otherwise on Arrakis. So you have to go raid these places to get these materials. For weapons and armor, those materials are in Rex. For your vehicles, those are in the labs. Most labs also have water, so if you're running thirsty, take a litter john or 2, and you can stock up on water. So let's listen a little bit to. I'm going to adjust the volume down a little bit so it's not as loud.
The ultimate mission of these stations is to find or engineer botanical species capable of thriving in the extremely arid conditions of Arrakis. A true challenge, as I'm sure any visitor who has traveled through the barren rocks and sand above will agree. Our first task has been the installation and testing of wind trap units, capable of reclaiming moisture from the atmosphere. I'm pleased to report complete success, both with the installation and functioning of these devices. The thriving vegetation you will find within these halls is a testament to the success of this technology.
Something that occurred to me after playing a bajillion times, and one thing that the game does. So we've talked before about how excellent the tutorial is, the extended tutorial in Haga Basin South is, and how it walks you through everything that you need to know. He just tells you straight up the best way to get water right now is, so we know we go get blood, but he's also saying wind traps. Wind traps create all the water that you get in here. So wind traps are the next main way that the Imperium was getting their water. So he's telling you what to do. He's telling you that you need to make wind traps. And it didn't occur to me, it didn't click to me for a bit that was the important thing to be doing, was to make wind traps. Because there's always the meta argument about, do you do wind traps? Do you do blood? Do you do death stills? But for the Imperium, it was wind traps. That was what they were going to do. They didn't have death stills. That was a Fremen thing. Step, step, step.
I thought I could trust Druce. But I know now that he's part of the plot, eh? I heard the worms out in the desert whispering to him last night, and the bastard whispered back. He did. They're all in league against me. All of them. But they won't get me if I get them first.
So Collins comes back and is acting weird because he's picked up a Telexu satchel. And I'm not going to dip into the lore, but if you know, you know. Which raises more questions about what happened with the satchel.
You leaving these messages for, eh? It's for the worms, isn't it? Yeah, the worms. Oh, yeah, your belly, it was full of worms, our big, red, ropey worms. But I let them out, didn't I?
And they just become increasingly more paranoid and probably more violent than they were before. I mean, there's a level of, for lack of a better term, professionalism with the mercenaries and the scavengers because they need some level of organization, but they've kind of gone off the deep end at this point.
Don't sleep. That's when they come for you. Glowing guards. Don't sleep.
It's
They're
more and
watching.
more paranoid.
Find a knife, or maybe a hammer. Either would be good, but both is better. Just don't sleep. Don't sleep. Don't sleep.
Beneath the hill where the fox runs lightly, a dappled sun shines brightly. Where the fox runs lightly.
You can't hide from me, little bird. Where are you?
Beneath the hill in the fennel brake. Spy, my love, who cannot wake. Go away. Go away.
I was curious because as that lit major, I was like, did they write this for the game? This is actually taken from one of Gurney's songs about where the fox runs lightly, and so she's been listening to Gurney's music on the radio. So that's actually Gurney music.
The little bird. Gotcha.
And increasingly paranoid. And part of the length for this is I always forget where radios are, so I ran this thing so many times because I missed one and then I have to go back. So I'm like, did I forget one in here? No. And then you get caught by the door. Yeah, we didn't sleep. We kind of no-life the game.
Yeah. So then he comes in here saying, "Hey, boss, what's that weird smell? That weird smell? Yeah, just like that he does, just like that, yeah? Yeah, and then he says, what's wrong with the plants in here? They look sick. Maybe we should trim them back." That's what he said. He said that. Those exact words, that's what he said. He said, trim them back. Trim them back! Oh, yeah. So you know what I did? I trimmed him back. Oh, yeah. I trimmed him back real good.
You just see him just scratching. This was the drop for me.
Collins and Omar from Broken Land Trek. 2 Dune still suits, full of holes, stained, sun-bleached, junked. One Atreides House Trooper rucksack, serviceable. Omar will keep. 1 Telexu-made satchel with several vials. Opened the vial, but it was empty. Smelled bad. Junked. 3 thumpers. Fair to poor condition. Selling windsack.
So we know from early on in production, they talked about windsack, and they showed us a still of what they expect windsack to look like, and then they pulled it out. And now we have, windsack as a place for them to go sell stuff. But also, again, back to the story. So someone shows up with a Telexu satchel and stuff starts going really sideways. And if you know the story, you know where that satchel came from. But then the question is, how did it end up down here? That was a question I had. So that satchel has some history. That satchel has been on the block a time or three. And yeah, plans within plans. And this is where you start going, Joel is diabolical. I mean, we already knew that. And Hefe putting traps all over the freaking stuff. It starting to remind me of Fallout shelters. The labs that have radios in them have stuff to tell you. They legitimately do. And it is a bit like Fallout because things, there's a story there that they tell that connects, and yeah, it's definitely a thing. Let me see if I can set up my next video. So the next one will be, we're going to look at testing station number 10 because everyone loves testing station number 10.
Welcome to Imperial.
And this is the comment was made. It's hard to connect things if you don't know the context of Dune lore. I think where people are getting stuck is because they don't know Dune lore. They stop paying attention because it makes no sense. And if they keep at it, though, eventually you'll be like, wasn't that the thing? And then you start putting the pieces together, I hope. It's a really great story. There's lots of things going on. But testing station, yeah, they're not corrupt. One thing that was funny to me going through all this process and looking was none of these holograms have hands or faces. They're just like sleeves waving around that have no hands or faces. There are people who are here only for survival games. There are people in the game for they came just for PvP. So I don't want to say they're doing it wrong, but I think that people aren't getting the same game that those of us who are here for Dune are getting. So it's going to be a different experience. And yeah, if you don't follow the path of progression, and you don't have to, but it does impact how you are fed the hints, how you're fed the clues. Now, testing station 10 is weird because you come out of Haga Basin South and you're copper, and then it sends you to Anvil, right? That's one of your first spots outside of Haga Basin South. It gives you that contract. But most people are not actually ready for testing station 10 yet. You haven't equipped up ready. Going into a steel tier base with without good iron gear or steel tier gear, most of us got spanked. There's an ad coming, so I'm going to wait till after the ad to run the video so I don't miss it. But yeah, testing station 10 is deserters. It's currently deserters. But you can start to piece together some of Ina Hiller's story from the radios that are left behind. So here comes the ad break. Sorry, guys. It's going to be just a moment, and then we'll pick the video back up. I'm just going to sit here and chat until it's gone because I don't want y'all to miss it. And did it do the ad break? It said it was going to do an ad break. I'm waiting to see if it's going to do an ad break. Is it adding breaking? I'm going to guess sub now, so no ad. Gotta love subs. It saves that. Met one friendly player met in the game at Station 10, so maybe easier as group chat. Having a partner to go through definitely does speed it up. It does speed it up. Sorry, someone pinging me. If okay, it says ad break ends in 90 seconds. Okay, so I'm gonna wait a moment. I don't wanna skip and potentially leave anybody behind. Yeah. Got a minute left. Part of it too is people. I'm kind of nerdy in that I know most people don't go through and listen to it over and over and over and over again. Some people don't listen to it at all. Some people only listen to it once, and it kind of goes, and that's okay too. There's no requirement to hold on to all of this information the same way that some of us nerdy folk do. So I'm watching the clock. It's 45 seconds. I don't want to, because what the recordings say, I think, are important to the scope of the story. I think as a creative person, you don't do anything without a reason, even if it's misdirection. So it's having everything's going to have a purpose, and I think some of the story bits are one thing that makes it, to me, the great thing about it is it's not hitting you over the head like some RPGs do. Okay, so the ad breaks should be over, so let's proceed. This video is a little longer because, well, it's a longer video, but I tried to speed up the combat-y bits because no one wants to watch me fight stuff. So,
Welcome to Imperial Desert Botanical Testing Station number 10. I am Dr. Silas Graylish, director of this facility. Our goal here at DBTS-10 is to find and develop flora which can flourish in the iron-rich soils of this corner of Arrakis. Our initial focus is the introduction of Velvechir.
so he's telling you this part of the map is where you find all your iron. For a long time in beta, or when the game first started, and like the non-NDA weekend, people were asking where iron is. He just told you it's in Vermilia's Gap. It's the iron-rich part of the map. This is the place where you find it. This is really the only place you find iron is in the Gap. So he tells you straight up where to find it.
Ephedra and alloydendron species, which we deem the most likely adapters. But within these protective walls, we will also cultivate a variety of species from across the Imperium. The ultimate goal will be to seed the planet with species capable of thriving in the wild, without the benefit of the water provided by our wind trap condensation system.
Again, use the wind traps.
Welcome to Imperial Desert Botanical Testing.
I got very lucky. Someone had come in here right before me and had cleared part of it out. It speeds things up a little bit.
Attention, all of you! Yesterday in Harkov village, Christoph referred to me as Imenbrech Healer. How hard can it be to remember this simple rule? No military title. We take a risk every time we need to enter settlement. A slip-up like this could easily be the death of us all. Make sure every one of you hears this message and understand it. Christoph will not be returning to us. There will be an auction for his gear.
Yep. It's being a deserter was, and this is where people who keep saying, I want to be able to betray at whim. It's like, she's telling you no. Once you betray, they're not taking you back. She's straight up. If the Harkonnens get wind that we have deserted, if we have betrayed, we are not welcome. And there is no going back. But also, we know from talking to Anton how the War of Assassins is taking a toll. And I'm going to guess it's taking a toll on the Harkonnens as well. and having to kind of step away from. I mean, they were military. She keeps getting called her military title. A whole new change of expectations to survive. The War of Assassins takes its toll. But yeah, no one's taking you back once you betray. They absolutely are not. And so they're going to auction. They're going to kill you and auction your stuff off. Is what they're going to do. It was super handy that someone else got in front of me and cleared most of the map out first.
Mikhail, it's clear we need more people with mechanical expertise if we are to meet the quotas set by our new bosses. We have too many here who can't handle anything more complicated than Trigger. They can be our field men and our muscle, but we need skilled hands. So you and I will need to do some recruiting. There are plenty like us who have chosen to leave the service of the great houses. We must find those among them with vehicle maintenance experience. That includes former Atreides troopers. Yes, I know. Bad blood. But we have more in common with Atreides deserters than we do with our old comrades. Anyone who can't see past old grudges won't have a place here.
And she's straight up saying that we're going to have to make our own alliances. There's not a buggy in here anymore. They removed that because they didn't want people missing the progression. So no buggy here. You can still find them. The last time I looked, you could find them at Sentinel, but there's no buggy anymore. They took them away. Excuse me. But the idea that we as deserters need to work together because it's hard out there. It's hard out there. So you can't just turn your nose up at somebody because who they used to be. Look, I finally found live people.
Hiller, here are this week's notes from our market contacts. Working anti-dust filtration systems are in high demand in Erekine. Those from one-man ground cars are valuable, but larger units from sealed system ground cars and ornithopters will fetch the best prices. Stick to Chome's standard models since custom fabricated units are becoming too easy to trace. The dealers won't touch them. Make sure our acquisition agents are aware of this. The market for scrap metal is nearly glutted because of competition from scavengers in the Hogger Basin. But there is still a strong market for copper, aluminum, and plasteel components. It'll be worth our effort to break down larger mechanisms to acquire those materials. Do not forget to pass on last week's tallies as soon as you have completed them.
Ornithopters used to be in the Rift. But what he's saying is really important. Again, he's telling us stuff that not everybody kind of clocks onto. So in Erekine, there's vendors who buy your stuff. They won't buy things with skin on them, but they will buy the plain Chome stuff. So he talks about the one-man ground car, which is your bike, but the buggy is better. Selling vehicle parts to the vendors can make you some cash, and it tells you that the aluminium, the copper and iron components broken down are valuable. Plasteel comes from the weapon stuff, so he's telling you to make a recycler and recycle your stuff, and you can sell those components to vendors in Erekine. Probably, I believe some people have been farming and making a lot of money selling to the trade post too. In the beta, we were selling probes. They fixed it so you can't. We made bank selling probes to the guy at Anvil. But I think plasteel is the fiber. You get it from recycling weapons. That and mechanical parts. So he's telling you to make a recycler. So we've been told to make wind traps. We've been told to make a recycler. So the game is telling us these things, but also he's telling us that there's a market, you know, in Arakeen. Some people have said we weren't told. Well, kind of, sort of, in a roundabout way, you are, because he tells you right there. There's a market in Arakeen where you can sell stuff. But people, I can see why they didn't clip those two thoughts together, because it's not directly told, and people don't always stop at the radios. So I get why, but they do tell you things if people kind of stop and listen. Back to 90 miles an hour. I can never remember where half the radios are. This video is actually three run through here spliced together, because I would go through, start editing, realize I missed one, go back through, get that one, but miss a different one. And then I went through a third time and realized I missed one, and I'm like, yeah. So I spliced them together. So, but at high speed, you can't tell. Thankfully, you can't do it. It doesn't help that there's more than one lab that uses this layout, so I'm always like, where is stuff?
I cannot believe this. It's an outrage, an academic outrage. Our work has barely begun here, and the research is progressing splendidly. But today I am informed that our facility is to be expanded to provide a maintenance station for equipment and vehicles from dozens of testing stations. How are we supposed to work with that going on? The noise, the fumes, the ignorant bondsman workers poking about. Maddening.
So it was initially set up as an eco-testing station, and then they moved in with all of the mechanical stuff. But what that tells me from a history lore standpoint is the technology hasn't changed in 10,000 years. If we're still able to use these stations today to make stuff. So the Butlerian Jihad happened, but technology has not changed in 10,000 years. So the idea that you know, we're going to have mentats and we're going to do the Talaxu and all that stuff. We're going to train people to be our highest selves, but there's been no innovation, and it's still just as feudal as it was 10,000 years ago. People are still born into a spot, every man in his place, and you don't leave that spot. And so if you've run the first spy stream, and by now you would have, if you haven't played the game, put your finger in your ears. But what's it that the Moadib says? The only true death is stagnation. All of this technology, nothing has changed in 10,000 years. They've lost more than they have gained, because you've lost track of different planets. You've probably lost colonies or whatever. And nothing has changed in 10,000 years. The only death is stagnation. This room has been such a pain in my neck. I've gotten to where I don't run this lab until I've got at least steel tier stuff, and have, you know, 3 slots open, and because otherwise it's just such a pain, especially solo. I mean, it gives you as a reward the spit dart. Yeah, you can't get into the first trial until you've had the spy stream. So if you choose the option to skip the tutorial, the extended tutorial, it still requires the spy stream to go in there. This This room is very tedious, solo, by the way. It is a little jarring because you walk in and it knocks you to your knees right there at the door. But we talked about this before. The trial is a jihad. It sends you on the Hajj, and you have to understand what those trials are. You know, the 7 steps, the 7 things you need to know.
We're finally getting some sort of order out on the shop floor. The men are generally meatheads, but they're learning. We've really been hampered by the crappy state of our tools, though. Those scavengers that we evicted may have been content to use this junk, but we'd do a lot better if we could upgrade our cutters and power packs. These museum pieces are constantly malfunctioning, and their cooldown times are obscene. The men are idle too often, and that's not good for this bunch.
Again, he's telling you upgrade your equipment, your power packs. The cooldowns are obscene. You've got to upgrade your cutters. You've got to upgrade. So they're telling you, you can run around on that scrap one that you got open on, early on. That first one you made with scrap metal. You can, but the cooldowns are obscene. You will, if you've gone out with a Mark 1 power pack and a Mark 2 to go get flour or sand or whatever, you can feel the difference. Your gather time is significantly different with the different power packs. You want to do it faster, you want to do it more efficient, you've got to upgrade your tools. And so these people, I think, weren't really clocking onto, they're telling you things. It's not just story stuff. Wind traps, power packs, cutters, you got to upgrade them. You can't leave them. I lost track how many times I ran this stuff.
Attention, all of you. I know you are all impressed with the daring of our friend Cedar, who was bold enough to steal a battle tank from under the very noses of Atreides troopers. Stealing aging ground cars and tractors from the peons of Graben, Sink and Pan is one thing, but this takes nerve bordering on the legendary. I am duly impressed. So impressed that I will overlook the equally high degree of stupidity Cedar has shown with this act. It is not in our interest to risk the wrath of powers that have set a price on our heads. No one listens to the complaints of the peons. These are our targets, not the great houses. We deal in civilian vehicle only. Anything else endangers us all.
So again, I got very lucky. I got to actually drive a tank around, and for when we had them, they were the fastest ground vehicle. They were super fast. They were great. But the idea that she's saying you can't sell the military stuff to our vendors. We got to keep a low profile, because we don't want someone putting contracts on the contract board to go kill deserters. And houses doing, kill deserters for their lands rod thing. But we want to keep a low profile. We don't want, we just want to make enough money to get by. We don't need a high profile. We're trying not to die, because, getting a tank is pretty ballsy, but then the houses start getting, a little touchy about the loss of equipment. So you gotta be mindful of that. Stealing a tank is pretty badass. By the way, if you've been in the Rift lately, there are a couple of shiny new tanks in the bottom. I was quite surprised, because we've seen the wrecked ones, but I saw a couple of freshly wrecked ones that were quite shiny still. So maybe someday we'll have some tanks back. There wasn't a good They were fun to drive, but as far as tanks go, they were kind of crappy. There wasn't really a need for a ground vehicle that way at that time. So we will hopefully see something come back. I think personally, I would think I don't PvP, but if there was a map that was kind of like the Rift and Jebel Lafitte with all the rocks and islands and things like that, I think that that would be an amazing type map to have for PvP because it would force people to the ground, put the labs like we have in the Rift now where things are tucked away, so you have to go in on the ground. And for a long time, the game had snipers that they'd just take your wings off. Great places to snipe from. That could make PvP very interesting. Tanks, I don't believe are high on their priority list to get up and going. They'd be fun, but I think content-wise, they're looking at doing the DLCs and getting those up and running. Act 3 getting that up and running. They talked about more maps coming hopefully soon. Probably not for a couple of months, but there's lots of potential options for PvE and PvP maps that I think that could keep things moving. But they didn't ask my opinion. I don't know. I could be wrong. Yep, gotta let them cook. And I haven't looted once in this run. I want y'all to know this. I haven't looted. Which is the thing for me. Night Hiller used to be really the boss used to be a lot harder. That room with the sniper used to be the worst. I couldn't remember where the radio was.
To our new friend, Ina Hiller, late Immenberg Hiller of the Harkonnen House forces, the Turiel sends greetings. You may be surprised that we know your identity, but the hands of Turiel, whom I represent, know many things. For instance, we know that you and your band of deserters recently ousted a gang of vehicle thieves from one of the ancient testing stations in the Vermilius Gap. Congratulations. I'm certain that the station will make a fine hiding place for former soldiers such as yourselves. But there is a small problem. You see, those thieves were in our employ. They acquired vehicles and broke them down before passing the components on to our brokers. Ordinarily, such a loss would earn you the enmity of my organization. Something I can assure you, you do not want. But, to be perfectly candid, our former agents were less efficient in their tasks than we had hoped. Therefore, I would like to propose a deal which I am certain both sides will find beneficial. You and your followers will take over the task of acquiring vehicles and breaking them down for us. If you meet agreed upon quotas, you are welcome to occupy our valuable property. I'm certain you can see the benefits of becoming our agents. If not, I'm also certain that your former employers would be happy to learn of your current whereabouts. I look forward to your timely reply.
So I did a little digging. So the Hand of Turiel found nothing on them. My first thought was, people who know who everybody is. It wouldn't be one of the Harko spies because and I don't see them doing blackmail, maybe. But who has a spy network that would know who Ina Hiller is? And that starts narrowing narrowing the fields down as to who the Hand of Turiel could be. And it implies that it's a network of people because he works for somebody, right? So there's lots of questions about who knows things and who is doing things. And there's only a few people that, could it be? There's Peter, there's Tufir, Fenring. But I don't know who that could be. And I think that's a story hope that they've laid for us to find later. Perhaps one of the smuggler factions that we come across in the future. It would make sense that there would be just as many factions amongst those as it would be anybody else. I mean, Arrakis is a tough place. There's not a lot of uniting forces going on. I mean, we know from lore that the Fremen were fractured and were not united, with many leaders that often disagreed. That's why they had the big kind of council thing. And they were not united until Paul came along. And I saw some people talking about the movies. At the end of the second movie, Paul gets the Emperor to submit, and someone was like, "Well, he should have just started negotiating with the houses at that point." It's like he's got a million zealots on his heels. If he had slowed that momentum down, they would have fractured, and half of them would have tried to kill him because that's how they are. They will kill a weak leader and put a strong leader in his place. That's why they wanted him to kill. God, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. That's Stilgar. That's why they was supposed to kill Stilgar in their tradition. You kill the leader and take over his place. But he had no time to. They would have fractured, and so he had to let them move forward to keep that momentum going. Otherwise, he would have lost everything. In the miniseries, you see kind of the aftermath. There's the big jihad thing, and billions are dying, and Paul's really kind of not happy with that. So he starts trying to roll them back. He's trying to kind of bring them to heel a little bit, and they start fracturing. And they start plotting against him because they think he's not going hard enough. There's always going to be fractures in factions like that. If you've watched The Expanse, there's OPA and there's OPA. And there's always going to be some group that goes harder than others. And if you've watched Andor, you see there's different factions, and some go harder than others. And so there's always going to be somebody sneaking around to try and stab you in the back. We got another ad break coming. Starts in 40 seconds. Dun, dun, dun. But yeah, Paul has to let them take the jihad. He has to let them do it. You really should, yes, watch The Expanse, absolutely. Got the books down there. That's them at the bottom there. They stay very true to the books. It doesn't finish the books. They weren't able to finish all of them. But if you like politics, if you like the kind of science fiction like Dune that kind of makes you question systems, if you like thinking about how... One of the things about The Expanse is it shoves people into their kind of most primitive tribal natures, for lack of a better way. People will always fall back into us versus them. And you see it in Dune, you see it in Star Wars, you see it in The Expanse, you see it in a lot of Mad Max, warlords. Things will always fall back into this us versus them thing. And how they have this opportunity to take a leap forward and how they process that challenge. It's really good. It's really, really good. So I'm waiting on this ad to finish. Yes, Saw's partisans. Saw is one of the more extreme factions. Um, the reason Saw was on Jeddah was not for, information or for, trying to find out what the facility was for. I mean, he knew what the facility was for if you know Saw's story. He was on Jeddah for one reason only, because they had a Star Destroyer in orbit, and he was like, I'm going to shoot it down. That was the only reason he was there. I'm going to shoot it down. It's a Star Destroyer, and I'm going to take it down. And he didn't care that it was like right over a city. Didn't care at all. That's collateral damage to him is nothing. And that's one of the reasons that other factions didn't like working with him, because he would throw everybody in. He would throw everybody, even his own people, under the bus if it got him closer to whatever his perceived objective was. He did not care. I think one of the things that was really highlighted in the Andor story, and if you watch the movies and read the books and stuff, Star Wars, people wanted to think of it as an action story, and it's got a lot of action, but I think at its core, it's really a tragedy. For every win that they have, there's great loss, and there's always this kind of bittersweetness to their wins. I mean, even at the first movie, Ben's dead, whole planet's gone, and we're having this celebration because we didn't die today, and that was the kickoff for their hope, because we didn't die today, and so we can come back at this again tomorrow. And even all the loss that they had, so it's a tragedy. It's always if you watch the Clone Wars, millions of clones thrown into a grinder. Those are people. Those are supposed to be people, and that was their tragedy. Is they are people, they're individuals, and as they survived, and they had their own thoughts about things and attitudes about things, and they were fighting for a republic that didn't know them, and so we knew them, and as we see their losses pile up, literally and figuratively, that hurts us. Yeah, they haven't defeated the Empire, just the Destroyer. They lost a planet. They lost Bail Organa. They lost Dantooine, which was a potential base spot. They lost half of their fleet over Jeddah and then into Yavin. They were in a bad spot, but today they have a reason to hope. They survived today. They have this small victory, and so they want to hold on to that hope. If you like the action, I like digesting the story too. That's one of the reasons I love the Clone Wars so much, because I initially started watching Clone Wars and I couldn't get into it because the animation was just like, oh my god. And then I had a good friend who was like, you really got to watch it, and he kind of pushed me, and I watched it and I loved it. And Clone Wars and Rebels, and then of course then Rogue One and Andor, and those things. To me, I mean, it's a rebellion, and those things have cost. Those things have actions and consequences, and personalities and faction differences, and trying to, in Dune we have Paul, who he can't cut it, but his son decides to become God Emperor, and he has to become this despot to push that thing forward. The Clone Wars starts out a little clunky, and I will tell people who haven't watched it to go get the list of put them in order. I don't believe in cutting out filler episodes because you miss too much that way. Because what's filler to me is not filler to anybody else. But watch them in what would be chronological order, not release order, because that's all. Those first 3 seasons are all kinds of fucked up. But once you get to season 3, into season 3, it starts to become more linear. And by the time you get season 7, season 7 is some of the best Star Wars that they've done. And when you look at like characters like Ahsoka is what Anakin was supposed to be. Ahsoka starts out like Luke, whiny and annoying, and everybody hates her. And she makes some huge mistakes that cost, the cost is enormous. But she doesn't have the Emperor and the dark side whispering in her ear all the time. So she becomes what Anakin could have been, and that's one of the things that makes Ahsoka so great. One of the things that makes Kanan so great is also he wasn't a Jedi and wasn't bogged down in that dogma that hurt the Jedi for so long. One of the problems that you see in Mandalorian that is, so they've tried to set up this new republic, and they simply had just slapped a new label on the Empire without doing any changes. They just didn't stop to contemplate, how did we end up here? How did we go from a republic to that? And didn't do anything different. You just slapped a new label on the door, but it's all the same people, the same attitudes, no consequences, no follow up, no, nothing changed. And so nothing would change. And you saw it with in Ahsoka, or in Mandalorian, when they were trying to do the when they were at the shipyard. Was it Ahsoka? They had the shipyard, and it was full of Imperial guys because they had always been there. And see that arc with Yoda. So if you haven't watched the Clone Wars and want to, put your fingers in your ears. That arc with Yoda was so profound to me, because he starts out having these visions, and they're like, oh my gosh, is he falling to the dark side? If he falls to the dark side, none of us have any hope. They hold him up like this messiah almost of force use, and how he could never possibly fall. If he falls, then none of us are safe. It's like, but he was never safe, and he shows you that. He thought he was safe too. And then, they were like, no, gave him kind of a slap of reality of, no one is safe from the dark side. It's not you're fighting your fears and your anger and your feelings. It's not a one and done thing. You're rolling around in all of this horror. It's going to get on you. And they spent so long navel gazing, they'd become stagnant. Only true death is stagnation. They'd become stagnant and hadn't evolved or really thought about why they did things the same way anymore. And it was the Jedi like Qui-Gon Jinn and Quinlan Vos that really didn't spend too much time on Coruscant, that started kind of being more independent thinkers. And so you had Kanan, who had always had to take care of himself. He wasn't bogged down by the dogma. He was afraid of relationships, and that that kind of thing was in the back of his head. But Kanan learned to love without encumbering himself by it. He could love without holding on to it. And he knew, again, if you haven't watched Rebels, he knew on Jedi Knight how that was going to end. If you watch it and he's meditating and he says, I have to save them. And there's that pause. He knows. And he doesn't have the weight of those attachments that the Jedi were so afraid of. Yeah, Kanan. I'm going to get choked up thinking about how Jedi Knight ended. The splash screen at the end. Yeah. Chopper. I'm gonna rub salt in this one. It's Chopper. But how all of these also lead back into Dune, and this idea in science fiction especially allows us to kind of explore these themes of how do we relate to each other. There's a theory in sociology that talks about social evolution. We know that for physical evolutions to happen, there has to be external pressures to cause it, right? Droughts or squirrels that end up on one side of the canyon versus squirrels that up on the other. They get different colors because there's different brush on either side. The sun hits differently. These evolutionary pressures happen to drive a physical change in living things. But there's a theory in sociology that says that we grew up from our primal times being in a situation where we had limited resources. So we focus on essentially what is our DNA. My family comes first. I will stab, kill, protect my family from everything. My DNA matters. My progeny and my DNA needs to keep going. So you become very tribal, right? And you're defending your water hole or your hunting grounds or whatever. And over time, those tribes and families get bigger. We get villages and so on and so forth. But we still hold on to that feeling that I must protect what's mine. But we don't have that scarcity anymore. And so there's a theory in the societal evolution that our next steps in there would be to understand that there is enough to go around. And we don't have to have that same tribal nature anymore, but we hold on to it. And you see it in so many science fictions and fantasy things. We hold on to this idea that my group is better than yours. Like I said, The Expanse has 3 major groups that are all kind of politically going at it. See, if you watch Star Wars, you got, pick an era. There's groups that disagree. So there's always going to be something that drives people, and I like that part. I like watching people. I like watching people react. So, we are coming up on not quite 2 hours. I think this is a good point to wrap. Next time I have the next lab, which is 197. It's one in Western Gap, queued up, so we can talk about that one. If Bean is not ready to talk about lore yet, he's got his ass kicked by work the last few weeks. I'm hoping it lets up. Someday it'll let up. Yeah, a meaning of life, not the meaning, but a meaning of life is to propagate life. And we want, as a species, we want our life to continue. So we focus very hard on, making sure that they have it better than we did. And the expanding that idea out, I think, is what they're saying with the social evolution, who is our dear to us, and how do those impact our choices as individuals and societies. We go to war for things. So, those are big questions that the science fiction and fantasy and all those things ask. So, but yeah, next time I've got the next lab queued up. We should have the results from the building contest. No, we won't. It's still another week. They've got a lot of great stories, great builds to look at. So we will have more, hopefully more about what's coming in the public test client, how those tests are going. Don't forget, if you have not received your free vehicles for the public test client, do a bug report, and they will get to you hopefully soon. Do give feedback in the official Discord. There's 2 threads for the public test client. Also, do bug reports. I know it's tedious. Believe me, I know it's tedious, but they really, really are helpful. We want to try and move the patch forward relatively bug-free. Yeah, but that's it's our chance to help help the game move forward in a better way. So I think this is a good spot to wrap it up. Thanks everybody who came and chatted and didn't spoil too much stuff hopefully for other players. And there are a lot of little quirky bugs things, so definitely do those. It's tedious to do the bug reports, I know, but they do read them, do put in actionable feedback into the to the threads in the beta, into the official Discord, not the beta Discord, but beta Discord is no more. But thanks everybody for coming. If you hit !Discord, you'll find my Discord if you want to join us in our low-key, very chill chat. We were busy grabbing all the flower sand. Definitely grabbing that flower sand. Oh. Are you talking about the amazing sword that most of us got? Anyway, there's more stuff coming. We'll hopefully have more things to talk about. The Gamescom is coming up. After Gamescom, I'm going to start chasing FunCom again to have guests, but they've got holidays and then work stuff to do. So I've got plans. We'll see. There's the plan and then there's what really happens, but it'll be good. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming. I will catch everybody later. Have a good night, and I'll see you guys out on the sands.